Of course you are gonna play hardcore, like a real man. Don't be a... And for sure you are gonna pick warrior. Why? Because of this. This was Joe, please don't hate me. The game wants you to play with a mace, but you really just want a sword or an axe. So of course the only option left is to fight with your guns. Yeah. After a little bit of scrap with the zombies, you will find Miller. You already asserted dominance with him by beating him 3 times blindfolded. Yeah? So there should be no problem here. Your weapons, also known as your hands, will need some help. So take Contagion. Start by cursing the enemy with Contagion, then drag him into 1v1 to show who's got more testosterone. The next skill you will take is Killing Palm, so you can start slapping your enemies properly. In Path of Exile 2, you have to cover your weaknesses, and your biggest weakness as a buffed up dude is clearly your brain. That's why we are investing our first passive points into intelligence. After you've slapped the Devourer into submission, it's time for the next skill, Flame Wall, of course. Then, once you've slapped Beira, you will add Fire Infusion support to Killing Palm, because why not? After you take down Ariadne, you will add Arcane Tempo support to Flame Wall. After you finish slapping the Brembleghast, it's time for a new skill, Spark. After you spark your way through the Rasking, you will swap Spark for a new skill, of course. And it's Ember Fusillade. Fusillade? Because, you know, obviously, the build needs more fire and less coherence. Don't forget to put Arcane Tempo on it. And now, it's time to start putting some passive points into fire nodes. Because clearly, this has always been a fire build. With Ember Fusillade, taking down the Rotten Druid is easy. Because, you know, nothing beats nature like aggressive fire spam. Once you reach the graveyard area, it's time to pick up a new skill, and obviously, it's Bone Cage. Also, throw Magnifying Effect and Arcane Tempo on it, because if you are going to sit in a cage made of bones, you might as well do it quickly, right? After using all of your carefully selected skills, you will defeat Draven, assuming you get lucky. Next up, Inferno Cry. Not because it makes sense, but because setting things on fire while yelling is the logical next step. Then you will take down Esinia. That one shouldn't be a problem. Unless you make it one. Which you might. Next, you play an intense game of tag with Lachlan, and after enough cardio, he gives up and dies like a gentleman. Obviously, we pick up Staggering Palm next to complete the unarmed slap-based combat system this build was always destined for. Don't forget to put Fire Infusion and Martial Tempo on it. And of course, now it's time to take a passive point in Dexterity, because nothing complements raw strength and unarmed house like a little bit of flexibility we will never use. After slapping Crowbar into the ground, go ahead and drop 2 passive points from weapon set 1 into melee damage. Also, make sure to put Fortress support on your Flame Wall. For good measure, you know? Now be careful. With enough slapping precision, and if your inner gamer awakens, you might actually defeat the King in the Mist. No promises, but dreams are free. Now, since as a warrior, you clearly overdid your PR leg day, and your knees aren't what they used to be, it's time to grab a Quarterstaff. Something to lean on. But don't worry, you will still be slapping. Turn your Spirit Gem into a Blood Herald, not because it does anything useful right now, but because the name sounds cool and edgy, and that's what really matters. Return Yoon's loot, then immediately invest 2 points into melee damage. Thanks to a combination of slapping and setting things on fire, you will survive the crop circle. and make it to Ogham's village, which proves once again violence and poor decisions do get results. Yet another skill, vaulting impact, because launching yourself into enemy's face first is what this build has always been missing. In the village you will face the executioner. Don't make the rookie mistake of benching with a guillotine grip. Instead, show him who's got the bigger bicep through an honest slap fight and take him down. You know what time it is. Time for another skill, of course. Next up, incinerate. Because nothing says peak performance like roasting your enemies with raw pre-workout energy. For weapon set 2, you will now invest into elemental damage. Also pick up lacerate support, link it to vaulting impact or bone cage, because you are not going to be the only one bleeding out here, right? Once Candlemas and the entire housekeeping staff have been properly slapped, it's time to meet Ogham, the only guy in the manor who still thinks he's in charge. But don't forget to add Fist of War support to vaulting impact, because that will, for sure, make a change. Ogham's fighting style is best described as aggressively magical and personally offended. Turns out all you really need is a decade of a leg day trauma. And that's how you don't play Warrior in Path of Exile 2, and somehow you don't die. That's it for Act 1, a build held together by slap damage, fire and blind confidence. Drop a like if you believe in chess day more than a strategy, and subscribe so you don't miss Act 2, where everything gets worse on purpose. Trust me, it's on purpose.